So this is a little bit of content on writing the introduction for your paper. So your introduction is really one of the most important parts of your paper, and you should do it at the end, because by the end of your paper, you'll know the big story of what you're talking about. So you will, in your introduction, introduce your topic and describe the significance of the study. So think of yourself like an attorney making opening arguments. What are you trying to argue? So you're trying to tell them that you will be providing evidence that your question hasn't been answered in previous research, that it still needs to be answered, that there's a gap in the research or something that's missing, and that it's important or significant in some way. It'll benefit humankind or extend research in a critical direction, but your topic matters, and there's something we need to know about it. And then you'll continue on to give the evidence in your lit review and then design the study to answer the question. So in your introduction, probably just one paragraph, you need to first of all establish the topic. And so right away, your reader should know what you're writing about. So what you're writing about should include at least one peer-reviewed study. Like, remember, we're always building a foundation in the scientific literature. So whatever study it is that's part of your introduction, you don't go into depth about the study here. Here you don't tell us the method and what they did or anything like that, but at least one study that kind of provides a source for the ideas you're talking about. Because in science, remember, we're never just expressing our opinions. We're always building on evidence. And you might be saying, what's my topic? Well, you might think of it as your dependent variable, what you're going to study in your paper. And if you have a way, you can link it to your independent variable. But you want to really pay close attention to what you're saying and how you're saying it in your establishment of your topic in the introduction for your paper. So it's a delicate balance. You have to make it interesting, but yet you don't want to waste your readers' time by putting a lot of fluff in there. So when you're reading all the papers you were reading for preparing this, you might have noticed that research reports, they tend to just start immediately. There's not warm-up, nothing like that. There's not creative kind of, lively attention getting, because we're not trying to appeal to an audience that's reading like the newspaper or scrolling the web. We're really writing for other scientists. So we don't need to entertain them. They're already interested. All right? And so it's hard to get used to this. So you can see here that someone wrote for their paper, people have always used technology. Human beings are tool-using animals, so it should not come as a surprise that our tool use includes computers and the internet. In fact, using tools is something that even small children do, and this includes computers too. There is some controversy surrounding the use of computers by small children. Now, these first four sentences might be considered fluff. None of this is necessary. Scientists who are reading your paper already know this. And so this is really where a scientific paper might begin. There is some controversy surrounding the use of computers by small children. So this is the hard thing to do in scientific writing, but you want to get rid of any kind of fluff, and of course, absolutely, your own opinions are not represented here. You're building on the science. So the next thing to do, as stated right up front, is you need to show the significance of the problem. So you need to show right in your introduction paragraph the importance of the topic. So you're going to offer something of practical or research significance. So what is the significance? So what it is not is your opinion about why it is important. Remember, we all wear our lens of bias. And so just because you think it's important doesn't make it important. So you're trying to be objective and state why it's important in the broader scheme of human experience. So the significance might be something that is lacking in the research domain, like a question that should be answered, or the prevalence of consequences of an absence of a study. What happens if we don't know the answer to this, if we don't study this? That might be significance. Or what about the potential benefits of having greater understanding? you could tout those in describing the significance. But it's really important for the writer to understand that significance, again, it is not an opinion about why the topic is important. The significance comes from the research literature too. So we'll see some examples following, so you'll see what this might look like. And I do have this little video about writing the intro that I cannot play here because it will violate copyright, but I will definitely link this for you in Blackboard. So here's an example. New interactive media are now integrated into the fabric of children's daily lives. And here they appropriately have a citation. Online programs for very young children are routinely accessible, and the promises of enhanced learning from this potential new form of education abound. For young children, this means early computer experiences that focus on pre-academic skills, such as pre-reading activities, can be targeted. Now, I'll point one thing out right away. This having 3 authors' names in the citation is no longer done in APA style. Now, in this case, we would only, if there are 3 or more authors, we would only list the first author, then we'd follow it by no comma. We would just say et al, period, comma, and then the year. If we had only 2 authors, we would list both their names. So that's the first comment. And so now let's look at how this addresses those 2 main points, the topic and the significance. So we'd say the first sentence is the topic sentence, that new media are well integrated. The next 2 point out a practical significance. First, the media are available and there might be educational benefits. And so now maybe the reader is thinking that this is a significant problem. It could have real world benefits to our children. Very short and to the point. Example 2. Preschool education is a particularly interesting area for investigating the use of computers. Preschool environments offer opportunities to observe the relationship between formal and informal learning, the balance between learner-centered and adult-directed activities, and the use of computers by children who are unable to follow text-based instructions. And so here again, we have the topic in the first sentence, and then we have the research significance. So why is this topic beneficial for scholarly study? Example 3. Appropriate healthcare services are often not available in many rural and remote areas, and this problem is expected to intensify in the near future, exacerbating existing rural health disparities that need to be addressed. And there's a citation. Telehealth interventions represent a strategy for potentially addressing such access to care problems. Although telehealth services do not directly address overall shortages of clinicians, they can improve access to health services in rural areas by providing a way for clinicians located in urban areas to deliver care to rural patients in relatively distant locations. Therefore, telehealth applications are becoming widely used to provide much-needed medical and mental health care services to people in rural areas. And here we have 2 citations supporting this availability of these services. So I like this one best of all. I think this one really lays out the topic sentence quite well, and lays out why it's a problem, that there are these rural health disparities, so that suggests that the problem is significant, and then introducing a possible solution here, telehealth, topic sentence probably laid out right here in the second sentence, and then elaborating on some of the pros and cons of it. So I suspect that this is leading into some sort of an experiment where they will measure some health outcome for rural people with and without telehealth opportunities. So those are some examples of how to write your intro. I will stop here. These examples from the research literature are available to you, but I won't go through them with you so as to keep this a short lecture. Thanks for tuning in.